Hello there, whoever happens to be on Twitter. We usually do this live stream Wednesday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We had a giant technical meltdown, so we got none of the audio. We record this, process it for the podcast feed, put it on the podcast feed on Sunday, and we lost all the content, so we have to redo the whole gosh darn thing. Bunch of people on Twitter. Lovely. Twitter, if you make a comment or if you retweeted this, whatever the fuck, I don't know what it's called anymore. I can see it, but I can't respond in kind. I can only respond via audio. I know who's on YouTube. Somebody say hey in the chat room. It's a very unusual situation. We're doing this during the middle of the day instead of at night because we lost all of our content from, what day is this? Friday? We lost all of our content from Wednesday night, so we have to redo the whole gosh darn thing. Hey, preposterous. Yep, bonus stream during work. We lost the whole darn thing. And actually, the first 20 minutes was pretty good quality for the story read. And then everything went to hell. We lost the last of it. So we thought we'd just redo the whole thing so it sounds consistent and it looks consistent. All right, we'll give this one more minute. Again, hello, everybody on Twitter. If you happen to be watching this, we do this. Oh, hello, Calvin. We do this every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And Wednesday's show this week, we had huge technical issues, so we lost the whole live read of this brand new fiction. So we had to redo it, so we have it for the podcast feed on Sunday. So if you're looking at this going, what the hell is Scott up to? That's what he's doing. Some coffee for you. Calvin from the Philippines. Calvin, do you watch this? Do you watch the rebroadcast of this after we do them the next day? Thursday, Friday, etc., or you just happen to see me on here and you pop on? A couple people on Facebook, a couple people on YouTube. Twitter's dropping off as they usually do. Hello, all. All right. Hello, Dorf. This is a redo. We do these. I'm all of a sudden I'm Italian. This is a redo. We usually do these on Wednesdays. But you know what? The jabroni in the corner got it all wrong. We lie on the content. We lost out on all of it. We got to redo the whole thing. Capiche? Hey, Robert. How are you? All right. So if you guys are going to stick around for this read, awesome. Again, every Wednesday we do this, and this is the content that goes into the feed on Sundays. We lost all of it, so we gotta redo it. Hey, Jackson, how are you? Big fan. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You know why you're a big fan? Because I worked my ass off at this. That's why. I got to redo the whole thing. And since we had technical issues, I thought I would redo this live just to see if the same technical issues pop up and we've got some bigger problems. But the culprit seems to be we had Zoom on because we had Zoom on for guests and it just tanked the whole system. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into this business. Going to start recording now. Hello and welcome to Slay episode 45 titled Flick That Bick. Let me get you caught up on the story so far and then we're all going to go hunt down Teddy Two Fingers. Previously on Slay. Lincoln found Thoko Chikandi, a thief who sold a stolen magic carpet to Teddy Foo. Right off the bat, we got a flub. Let's do it again. Oh, and if you're new, when I do this, that's a cue to tell the video and audio editor to cut that part out and use the second take. Previously on Slay. Lincoln found Thoko Chikandi, a thief who sold a stolen magic carpet to Teddy Two Fingers, the man who kidnapped Lincoln's son Sam and sent him to the purgatory known as the Shelf. Lincoln had a little chat with Thoko and learned that Thoko had placed a meshwork tracker on the carpet in hopes of stealing it a second time. Meanwhile, Ariella asked Kellius Droman, a powerful, dangerous, and extremely rich mage, to train Billy how to use his innate magical power in exchange for Lincoln guarding Kellius' teenage daughter, Delilah. Kellius turned down the offer, leaving Billy's training duties to Magda and Ariella. That training begins now on Slay, episode 45. Don't kill him right away. Don't kill him right away. You better find it, Lincoln said. Thoko was on one knee, feeling under the ratty couch in his flophouse apartment, searching for the tracker. Down there on the floor, the lowlife looked like the cockroach that he was. And he looked scared. I'm trying, he said. It's here. I just hit it real good. Terror in his voice. That was to be expected. Lincoln now wore his full armor and cloak, the curling, roiling haze of caramel hiding his eyes. If I'd have known who you were, I would have talked you right off, Thoko said, his cheek pressed against the couch. Honest. Lincoln slowly ran an armored thumb along Bastard Maker's blade. The soft, metal-on-metal scrape rang out like the distant call of a hungry bird. I didn't have nothing to do with Teddy nabbing your son, Thoko said. I didn't even know Teddy back then. Lincoln smelled no lies. He wanted to, but he couldn't. Thoko Chikandi was telling the truth. Maybe he hadn't been involved in Sam's abduction. But he did business with Teddy Two Fingers, and Lincoln had killed far better men for far less than that. Thoko's face brightened. I found it! He stood, a red Bic lighter in his hand, his eyes fixed on Bastard Maker. He offered the lighter to Lincoln. It's basic mesh. When it's pointed in the right direction, it vibrates. You better hope it works. Lincoln flipped his cloak aside, slid his hatchet into one of the endless folds. He took the lighter. Because you're coming with me. Thoko sagged. Had he really thought Lincoln would just take the tracker and go? Move your ass, Chikandi, Lincoln said. Lead me to Teddy Two Fingers. Billy twirled the bow staff. It felt odd at first, but he was surprised at how quickly he adapted to the weight and the balance. Magda was going to train him how to use it. This some Darth Maul shit right here, he said. I wonder if someday I can make flames shoot out the ends. That would be badass. Magda rolled a battered 55-gallon oil drum out to the shooting range. I admit, this basement workshop and training area is dope, she said, but we still need more space. Maybe Ariella can get contractors to expand the basement a bit. And put us even further in debt? Magda tilted the drum up, set it at the edge of the training mat. Link will get us out of the hole, she said. Sure he will, after he chases down anyone tangentially associated with his son being turned into an elf on a shelf. Magda held up a warning finger. Don't make light of Sam getting kidnapped, Billy. Not ever again. Through her subdued anger, Billy heard his own words in his head. Sorry, he said. My bad. She nodded once, perhaps her way of letting something go. She put her hand on the upright drum, which Billy saw was full of dried concrete, save for a deep hole in the middle. This is one of my crucibles, she said. One of your crucibles? The medium one. Small one is on a tool bench in the corner. Big one is stashed in the bell tower base with a bunch of other junk. Haven't had much use for it. That's where Dragon was now, up high where the bell still hung, sleeping the night away. The tower stairs had rotted and collapsed long ago. Billy had once wondered how the little dachshund could get up there, but that was before he'd seen her true 15-foot-long form. Magda grabbed a bow staff from the weapons rack, slid it into the hole. It stuck up like a mop handle from a bucket. Your innate power, so far, seems to be heat-based, she said. Heat-based. That sounded so awesome. And a little bit frightening. Could Billy set himself on fire? So I'm like the Human Torch from Fantastic Four? It ain't like that, Magda said. Heat is one of the possible manifestations of particular emotions, like anger, jealousy, or frustration. You ever feel frustration, B? When didn't he feel frustrated? Being poor in a rich man's world, being small, being weak, getting bullied. That had been his life. Then, the only steady thing he'd ever known, his grandma, lying to him about his real body, hiding from him this amazing potential. Every now and then, Billy said. So in a world of filaments and shit, frustration equals fire? Magda shrugged. Sometimes. As for your emotions specifically, we won't know for a while. Maybe never. The blaze you kicked out when your grandma was here could be one possible manifestation that we'll never see again, or it could be the only thing you can do. Till we know more, we need to teach you to control it. She nodded toward the staff sticking up from the oil drum. So when you get frustrated, you focus your emotions on that hunk of wood. Got it? I guess, Billy said. You want me to think about Grandma or something? See if I can get all worked up? Magda stepped to the weapons rack again, pulled out another staff. We don't need Grandma for this. She widened her feet and bent her knees. We'll start full contact weapons training right now. Billy remembered her using a staff like the one she held against Money Monday and Balake. She had put them both down easily. It had looked quite painful. But Mags, full contact? Like, you're going to hit me? I don't know how to fight with a staff. You'll learn, she said. Now get in a stance like mine. Thoko held the Verge TS's handlebars, but Lincoln's meshwork did the driving. He sat behind Thoko, his Keltec PMR-30 pressed into the small of Thoko's back. People might not make action movies where badass heroes use .22 caliber pistols to lay waste to armies of goons, but Lincoln had explained what a round would do. But Lincoln had explained what a round would do to Thoko's kidney, liver, spine, and spleen. In that subject, at least, Thoko proved to be a highly attentive student. The electric motorcycle shot through Lumencia's nighttime streets, all but silent when there was no traffic, completely so when cars or nightlife were nearby. Lincoln had put the Bic lighter/rug tracker in the small storage compartment under the bike's seat and fiber connected it to the self-driving mesh. The Verge automatically followed the tracker signals toward the rug. Lincoln monitored the path mentally, telling the bike when to follow the rules of the road and when to break them. The Verge turned right, headed north through the theater district, wove through moderate late-night traffic. Since leaving Thoko's place, the tracker's path had led them through increasingly valuable real estate. The bike was so quiet that even at residential speeds, Thoko didn't have to yell to be heard. Hey man, he said, after this, you gonna let me go? Or are you gonna kill me anyway? Lincoln had been asking himself that same question. If Thoko was telling the truth, he was guilty of stealing the wrong thing and selling it to the wrong person. Not of kidnapping children. Sure, Thoko had done plenty of bad shit and needed to be punished, but killed? Frankly, it was a gray area. Tell me about the rug you stole, Lincoln said in lieu of an answer. The binder said you were a clandestine carpet thief. You so sneaky a burglar you get called that? What does this carpet do? I'm just a regular second-story man. It's the carpet itself that's clandestine. If used right, it and its riders can pass through most meshwork security, and it's invisible to any purblind electronics. Ah, Lincoln had read the binder wrong. No wonder Teddy Two Fingers had bought it. A clandestine carpet was a hell of an asset for someone who abducted children from enlightened families. The Verge carried them into Riverside East and on to the The Verge carried them into Riverside East and onto the Cranwedge. The Verge carried them into Riverside East and onto the Cranwedge Causeway. One more time. Jiminy Christmas. That's a tough word for me. The Verge carried them into Riverside East and onto the Cranwedge Causeway, the raised highway that ran parallel to the Lumencia River. The wedge wove through the high rise of Riverside West. Rich people lived in these parts. Not much traffic on the 6-lane road, not at this time of night. Through the tall residential buildings, he saw the lights of the city playing off the water. "So, you going to kill me?" "Shut up," Lincoln said. "I haven't decided yet, but every time you ask, it becomes more and more likely." The bike slid off an on-ramp, and Lincoln found himself in Barren Ridge, home of Lumencia's richest people, both old money and new. The bike slowed, came to a stop across the street from a lavish 3-story Victorian mansion surrounded by a 10-foot white concrete wall topped by another 10 feet of black wrought iron fence. Through that fence, Lincoln saw tall arbor vitae, tastefully placed ground lights illuminating their greenery. The mansion looked like it was from the late 1800s. Not just old money, old money. Lincoln could smell the meshwork of the place. He could even see it. A dull green shimmer about the building, clearly meant as a warning to all enlightened. Don't even try coming here, you silly bitches. The bike had stopped because the Bic lighter in the storage compartment was buzzing violently. Teddy Two Fingers and his ill-gotten clandestine carpet were close. Lincoln looked up, looked this way and that, scanning overhead for the flying carpet. "Oh, man." Thoko hid his face in his hands, shook his head. "I am so screwed. I didn't know. How could I have known?" Even when Lincoln had held a gun to the man's nuts, Thoko hadn't seemed as scared as he did now. "Known what?" Lincoln said. "Who lives here?" Thoko looked up, eyes wide. "What do you mean, who lives here? Are you serious?" "I don't spend much time hobnobbing with some of the richest people in the world," Lincoln said. "Now answer me. Who lives here?" Thoko looked at the old mansion. "Kellyus Droman," he said. "Kellyus Droman lives here." The bow staff cracked against Billy's jaw, dropping him to the mat. The pain made his head swim. "Get up," Magda said. "Pick up your weapon and get on your feet." Billy grabbed his jaw, moved it a little left, a little right. Damn, did it hurt. "Give me a second," he mumbled. "That really—" Her bow staff slapped against his thigh like a fastball hitting a catcher's mitt. Billy cried out, fell to his side, both hands moving to his screaming thigh. "God damn it, Mags!" "Get up," she said. "Pick up your weapon and get on your feet." Billy started to ask, to shout, why she was being such a bitch. Then he realized she'd said the same words before tuning up his thigh. He grabbed fast for his bow staff, somehow scrambled to his feet. His thigh, his jaw, along with his ribs, his shoulder, his shin. "Why are you beating the fuck out of me? I told you I don't know how to fight with these things." "I showed you how to block," she said. "So, block." He was a foot taller than her, had 50 pounds on her, even though she was overweight, probably from all the pizza and the nonstop boozing. Billy threw his staff down onto the mat. "I quit. I don't want to spar no more." "If you don't pick up that weapon," she said, "then you have no chance to block." She twirled her staff once, stepped toward him. Billy backed up. He had a body like he was a defensive back reporting for training camp with the Lumencia Leopards, while she looked like the before picture of an ad for a midlife crisis weight loss program, yet she was kicking his ass. What good was his new body if someone who looked like Mags could shred him so easily? He didn't know how to fight like this. She stepped forward. He backed up. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. Billy felt heat flare up in his stomach. "The crucible," Mag said. "Focus your energy there." Billy looked to the bow staff sticking up out of the barrel. Heat in his chest now. He didn't know what to do. Heat in his face. The bow staff burst into flames. Heat in his brain. "Bring it down a notch, Lil B," Magda said. "Concentrate. Control it." But Billy couldn't control it. The flames grew higher. The barrel's metal began to glow red. Even with the haze of Cimmeral's meshwork vision, Lincoln couldn't see jack shit. No real surprise there. It was a clandestine carpet, after all. He mentally signaled to Shitbird, told the crow to circle fast around the mansion. Shitbird could see the underskin better than Lincoln, but that was no guarantee. Lincoln had no idea what the carpet could do. "Let me go," Thoko said. "I gotta get out of Lamencia fast. Teddy's going after Droman's daughter, and Droman, he don't forgive anyone." Droman. He needed to be warned. Lincoln had the sphere Ariella had used to communicate with him, but maybe he could... Lincoln had the sphere Ariella used to communicate with him. Maybe he could... The Bic lighter started buzzing so violently it rattled against the inside of the storage compartment. Lincoln felt the motorcycle's meshwork enhancements surge with energy. If the bike had been a pit bull, it would have been straining at the leash. An image flashed in Lincoln's mind. Shitbird saw the carpet in the night sky. Only a ghost of an image, barely visible, but he saw it. The flying carpet, with 4 men riding atop, streaked almost directly over Lincoln's head and coursed over the wrought iron fence. Teddy fucking 2 fingers. "Get lost," Lincoln said. Thoko got off the bike so fast he caught his foot, fell to the sidewalk. Lincoln slid forward in the seat. He reached into his cloak, drew his crossbow. He cocked the string, removed a bolt from the side quiver, and knocked it. "Ignis," Lincoln said, then pulled the trigger. The bolt hit the wall, erupted in an explosion of green flame that blew a partial hole in the white concrete, bent wrought iron posts in backward curls. Lincoln loaded another and let it fly. A second green hellfire explosion, the now larger hole in the wall was just big enough. Lincoln slid his crossbow back into his cloak, gripped the bike's handlebars, and let go the leash. With barely a hum, the electric motorcycle shot forward like the crossbow bolts that had preceded it. In a second and a half of acceleration, the bike hit 40 miles per hour before it raced through the hole in the wall. Magda ran to the workbench and grabbed a fire extinguisher off the wall. Flames shot up from the crucible, sprayed across the wooden ceiling. Billy lay in a fetal position on the training mat, the air around him shimmering with heat. "Magda, help me." Billy sounded weak, barely audible over the harsh roar of the growing flames. Magda aimed the nozzle at the crucible and squeezed the lever. CO2 mist whooshed out, obscuring the crucible. She hosed it down, but the flames did not die. Fuck a duck. She switched her aim to the ceiling, now roiling with crawling fire. The training mat burst into flames around Billy. Magda's shot missed that way, engulfing the mat and Billy alike. That fire didn't want to go out either. Billy reached up a hand through the shooting white mist. Help me! A new noise. Above the roar of hissing, crackling flames, Magda heard the pounding of heavy, clawed feet hammering down the basement stairs, heard the thunderous, bowel-rattling bellow of a very protective, very pissed-off, mystical reptile. Her heart sank. Fuck, 2 ducks. Dragon thought she was attacking Billy. The workshop door blew apart in a shower of spinning wooden splinters, and a jet-black, 15-foot-long Chinese dragon rushed in on wide paws, onyx-colored claws digging into the concrete floor, spiked eyebrows vibrating above hateful eyes, lips curled back to reveal teeth made for a massacre. And that was Slay episode 45. Come back for episode 46 where Lincoln gets to see Teddy Two Fingers again and Magda has some discipline. I'll just retake that shit. That's it for Slay episode 45. Come back for episode 46 where Lincoln gets reunited with Teddy Two Fingers and Magda has some discipline problems with her home pet. All right, guys. Hey, the Jacks. Hey, Howard. Hey, Will. Everybody's still here hanging out. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate that. That's all I needed to do. No technical problems this time, so clearly I have to figure out why having Zoom on completely tanks all of my processing and rendering power. Manny Andy in Australia. Hello. How are you? Okay. Anybody still there? All right, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for hanging out for a couple of minutes. Again, we do this on the regular Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And then the whole live broadcast without edits is available on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And then we strip out this audio and we edit it up. And that's what goes into the feed on Sundays. So, you guys all rock. I am out of here. And you know what I'm saying? Good day. Goodbye. Goodbye.